Welcome to Dead Man Talking. Come with me as we step into the deep, dark forest of fear. Let us pray. We see sunrise in the morning. Tonight's show is a fantastically chilling and intense encounter on a very, very renowned and haunted forest. As ever, guys, please do let me know down below in the comments what you thought. Please do like and share and help build this channel and its community. And of course, don't forget to hashtag TeamFEAR. Without further ado, let's get into tonight's bonus story of the night, entitled Alaskan Folklore, or something far more real. Let's get straight into that. I'm not real good with grammar and spelling and whatnot, but here's the story my father told me, and I wrote it down because, well, it was his last wish to share it with what he knows about this place, so others won't make the same mistakes he and my uncles did. I grew up in a small town in Alaska called Chugiak, just a few miles north of the biggest city, Anchorage. Now, my grandparents bought a homestead in the area in the late 40s after World War II. Now, growing up here, my three brothers and I spent almost all of our time in the summer hunting and fishing in the woods surrounding the homestead. So, you could say we knew our way around these woods and often spent days out in them, eating off the land and sleeping under the stars. This here story you were about to hear is true, although it's been over 22 years since I've experienced the events of the story. I'm the last living member of the party, so before I go, I feel it should be told. So here goes. It was summer of 1995. My youngest brother Tom had just graduated high school and was about to be shipped off to join the Marine Corps. So, we planned a survival camping trip to a place none of us have ever been to before but heard many stories about. Port Chatham. Google it. It's a tiny island off the Kenai Peninsula that was once a cannery but had been abandoned since the 50s, so Tom, Carl, Rick and I decided we had to check it out. So we packed our gear with a very strict set of rules: nothing but clothes, a lighter, a hammock, pistol, knife, fishing gear, and tarp and a long gun, and copious amounts of, well, liquor. No food, no tents. We were determined to eat off the land and sea. Carl was a commercial fisherman out of Homer, Alaska, and the mastermind of this adventure, so he arranged a water taxi to take us there and pick us up 5 days later at first light. So Monday morning, 4 a.m, we showed up on the docks in Homer and spent the better part of the morning talking shit and drinking beer and smoking cigarettes on our ride out. The sun was shining and the water was like glass. We reached the island and unloaded the gear and beer and said see you in 5 days to the water taxi and headed off into the woods. So first things first, Carl said, Tom, you set a few tarps and go and try and shoot something to eat. Rick, you go find some logs to make a shelter, take Rob with you, and I'm going to try and make a fire and catch a few fish. That was the last time I ever saw my brother, Tom, smiling, the stupid smile of his, with a beer in one hand and a lip in a smoke. Now, we had a camp and built a fire and got it going and cooking up a fat silver that Carl had caught, all wondering where the fuck Tom was. Now, this time of year in Alaska, the sun never really goes down. It just goes dusk and then back to dawn. So we decided to wait a little bit and figured it just lost his track of time and was just being Tom, always late. Hours passed and we started to worry where the hell he was. Finally, we decided to go look for Tom. We tracked him into the moss-covered island and found a few traps he'd set, and we knew we were on his trail. We found a few cigarette butts and we knew we were getting close to him. Rick was really starting to get on Carl and I's nerves with his constant, what if he's hurt, BS. And Rick said, what if he got killed by the evil spirits that supposedly live here? And we all chuckled at that. Carl said, shut up, you know that's just some old native fairy tale. Stop being a little bitch, Rick. See, we all grew up hearing stories of evil spirits on the island that drove the white men out. Grandpa told us that the evil spirits were like hairy creatures that haunted the island and brought misery to every person who ever stepped foot here. So much so that the whole island was abandoned in the 50s. Only Rick, I think, really believed the old man's ghost story. We spent the whole damn night looking, to no avail. So, we said fuck 'em. He probably got turned around and bedded down for the night, or he's back at our camp wondering where the hell we are. So, we headed back to camp, all hoping Tom would be there. He wasn't, strangely enough, and we found a few rabbits and his knife on a log next to our smouldering fire pit. We guessed he made it to camp and set out again looking for us, so we went to bed. Figured he was fine, and we'd all laugh about it, playing hide and seek in the morning. We tied one on that night and ate rabbits and salmon, drinking most of the beer that we'd brought with us the first night. We woke up about noonish to the warm summer sun and the waves crashing on the beach. Still, no Tom. We decided one of us should stay here all day in case Tom comes back. The other two would go out looking for him. So I volunteered to stay at camp. After all, that's where the beer was. I spent the first few hours walking the beach and drinking a few beers, kind of half-assed looking for something to eat and killing time. I was starting to get tired of waiting when I hear Carl and Rick come sprinting out of the woods, looking like they'd just seen a ghost. I said, what the fuck's going on? They said, it's Tom. I think something really bad happened to him. We found his boot. I said, so what? He lost his boots? Weird, but I don't mean anything bad happened. Rick looked visibly shaken and had that kind of 1,000-yard stare. Carl finally broke the silence and said his fucking foot was still in it. Shit. Fuck. God damn, let's go now. Carl looked at me and just said, you don't understand. It was a pile of guts and blood with drag marks. 8 foot up a goddamn tree. Whatever got him really ripped him up. Completely apart and then drug his body off to finish it. I said, Jesus. We're fucked. Tom is dead and we're stuck here for 4 more nights with no way of communicating with any sort of emergency services. We decided we had to go find his body so at least he can be given a proper funeral. We set off into the moss-covered woods so thick you could hardly see the sun in the sky anymore. Finally, we came to the spot Carl and Rick had said they'd seen the foot. Words cannot describe the carnage I had witnessed that day. Bloody sticks, and moss in a 10-foot wide ring in the forest with a single, extra tough boot laying a few feet from the bloody ring. Drag marks going up the tree 3 foot around. Bits of clothing and insides on the broken limbs. I said, bears don't fucking drag their kill into trees, man. That's something else, something much worse. I felt sick to my stomach. That's, and we all heard it, a noise that can only be described as a howl, and a scream rolled into one. It sent a shiver through my bones, and I cocked my 44 mag Ruger Red Hawk revolver. And Carl and Rick did the same with their weapons too. Whatever made that god-awful noise wasn't through with us yet. We didn't sleep a wink that night. We had nothing to eat and it was pouring with rain, making our small campfire barely smoulder. We kept as close as we could to each other, sitting back to back next to our tiny fire with our hands on our guns and chain smoking throughout the night. Day 3. We decided to stay on the beach and try and flag a boat down, while also trying to fill our now empty stomachs. We shared a small rockfish that day. No boats in sight, and guns on belts all day. And pissed with rain all day too. Day 4. More rain. We fished some more, and Carl shot some kind of seabird with his shotgun. We ate that for breakfast. We decided we needed more firewood, and we used all the driftwood on our small cove, so we had to venture into the woods to get more. We planned on using some foam board we found washed up on a beach to create some kind of signal fire. We set off in search of dry wood in the wettest of the forests, where the ground was spongy and the moss creating a soggy, shitty cold wetness. I'd never experienced any misery quite like this before. Cold, wet, hungry and scared, and finned with nicotine and rage. We were determined to get the fuck off this island one way or another. We finally found some dead spruce trees that were sheltered by huge trees and cut as much as we could and then tied them to our packs and carried out to the signal on the beach. We set off once again for the beach. That's when we saw it. A tree stump about 2 foot in diameter, sticking straight out of the ground. Only the roots were at the very top, about 8 feet in the air, towering above us with a pile of rotting bones on top. It looked to be a deer or something. No, our beloved brother. Whatever did that had to be absolutely massive, extremely strong, and it scared the fuck out of us. Rick was in disbelief, saying, "It's true! It's true! The story is fucking true! It's true!" Carl racked the slide of his shotgun and said, "Fuck this place. Let's beat the feet to the beach and catch a ride out of this godforsaken hellhole." And we didn't hesitate to get done and gone. We got back to camp, this time all of our gear destroyed, tarps and hammocks ripped to shreds, and a horrible smell, like a skunk, stung our eyes and lingered in the air. Rick freaked out and unloaded the entire magazine into the tree line just outside our tattered camp, screaming, "F you! F you, you son of a bitch!" and then broke down and just sobbed. I have never in my life felt more defeated. We lit the biggest fire we could, as far out as we could from the tree line that night, just above the high tide mark. All nights we were plagued with the horrible screeching, howls, and the rain. The rain never let up, a slow drizzle as if God himself was against us that night. And then the fog rolled in so thick, it was hell on earth that night. Soaked to the bones, tired, scared, hungry, and damn near hypothermic, we shivered our asses off, and finally the storm passed and the sun came up, revealing to us something that I will never forget. Huge footprints, the size of a bear's, but they had no claws, more human looking. They were as close as 20 feet from where we were that night. The fog obscured whatever had made the noise, and the massive footprints. Laying 50 feet from our fire was Tom's bloody shirt, with something wrapped inside of it. Carl walked over, unwrapped the blood-stained t-shirt to find a dead rabbit and a handful of berries. Is this some kind of sick joke?" asked Carl as he tossed it into the sea. "What the fuck? What do you want? What the hell do you want from us?" Rick screamed as he unloaded yet another 8 rounds from his 1911 pistol into the tree line. "Today's the day Captain Mike is going to come and get us. I said we just got to stick together and try and stay warm until he gets here." "Fuck you, Robbie," said Carl. "You better hope Captain Mike ain't just take our fucking money and go on a bender at the Salty Dog again." Just about noon, we heard the hum of a boat and saw the water taxi, and the biggest sigh of relief in my life. Captain Mike. Thank God for Captain Mike. Rick damn near walked on water trying to get to the boat and get off this island of nightmares. We all piled on and just had a look of hell on our faces. Captain Mike said, "Where's Tom?" And Carl just told him it went missing. We had no idea where the hell he was or where he went. And shot a look over to Rick and I, as if to say no one will ever believe our story. As we were just about out of the cove, the sound of that pure evil beast was heard once more. That's the last time any of us ever saw of that place, and the evil residing there. That was 22 years ago, and for 22 years Carl, Rick and I have never spoke a word of what the hell happened out there, or to anyone for the fear of being an outcast or suspects in a murder investigation. The Alaska State Troopers never found a shred of Tom, and they say most likely he drowned or got hypothermia, and so we just let that be the story. Carl and Rick have since passed away. Carl lost at sea on a fishing trip, and Rick died last spring of lung cancer. I'm the only one telling this now because the pact to keep it between us and take it to the grave has become too much of a burden on me, and I still have nightmares of that place. So let this serve as a warning. Don't fuck with evil spirits on that island. You hear me? Don't you ever go near that place. This was the last story my father would ever tell me before he passed away from cancer. Wow, fantastic stuff, absolutely chilling, intense, and such a mystery as well. As ever guys, please do let us know what you thought down below. Please do like and share, and of course don't forget the hashtag TeamFEAR. Not too sure if that was a true encounter or not. Certainly it says so in the story. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. And of course, as ever, remember, if you're going into the deep, dark forests, keep your wits about you, eyes and ears open, and above all, remember, be safe, not sorry.